when you see be'itim uzumanim at certain times, that your soul needs to be illuminated. Refined. Lezachacha means refined. And to be illuminated b'simchas levav, with the gladness and happiness of the heart. Azai yamik machshavtoi v'yitzayer b'sichlei u'binosoi inyan yechudei yizbarech amiti. It is then when you should delve your mind, your machshava. And then he adds, v'yitzayer, and you should bring an image, form an image, b'sichlei u'binosoi, in your intellect, in your understanding. What should the image consist of? Inyan Yehuda Yizborech Hamiti, the true oneness of God. So the Alter Rebbe now is proposing a meditation that initially seems to be far from our reality, and that is about God's unity. In the next 6-7 lines, he's going to talk about a theme that he really emphasizes in Shara Yichud Ve'emunas. I know some of you learned it or are learning it. The second section of Tanya, the portals of faith, Shara Yichud and unity, which is about how do you reconcile existence with God? How is it that there's no change in Hashem vis-a-vis creation? Such ideas. This is the theme of the second section of Tanya. Says the Alter Rebbe here in chapter 33 of the first section of Tanya, which is dealing with the Beinani, that if you want to have Simcha Amitis, you are to meditate and to reflect upon these ideas of God's unity. So I'm going to talk out orally the explanation, and then we'll learn it inside today or tomorrow. And that is like this. Until now, the focus of the Alter Rebbe's approach to Simcha, when you need it, and we always need it, is dealing with Gashmias. In other words, either how to get rid of your ego, how to humble yourself. Those are thoughts in chapter 29 and 30. In other words, it involves very much the human mind, the physical part of the human being. As long as one's meditation and reflection is on the humanity within us, it's impossible to have Simcha Amitis. True Simcha cannot come when you're still associated with material. There's a rule in the Rishonim, in the early philosophers, Jewish philosophers, not Plato and Aristotle, but in the Jewish philosophers, that Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba don't go together. You know, like I told you, I met someone in Bet Shemesh where you are, and he had a beautiful home, and he came from Brooklyn. I said, why'd you come here? He says, if I can have the best of both worlds, why not? And it's true. On one hand, it's true. Gashmis and Ruchnis. But on the other hand, it's not true. It's not at all true. If you have Gashmias and you're into Gashmias, you don't have Ruchnias. And if you're really into Ruchnias, Gashmias is insignificant to you. It doesn't mean that you should live like a pauper and a schlepper. That's not the point. But what is your focal point? What excites you? What turns you on? It's either Ruchnias or Gashmias. It doesn't go together. So a person who's able to see in their Gashmias the Ruchnias within it is a lucky person. So each time Velvel is doing a surgery and he feels and understands and sees that this is for the Eibishter, and if you can live that way, then your Gashmias is Ruchnias. But if not, then it's a job. It's a good job, but it's a job. It's like someone asked once, someone who I know, who he was a rabbi and shlichus, and then he went into business, and he was teaching a shir in Chassidus in the community. And someone said to him, someone was very bright, a lawyer, he said to him, I see that when you teach the shir, you're so animated. So he says, of course. He says, that's what I'm about. Not the real estate that I'm pursuing now to make parnasa. That's a job. That doesn't give me geschmack. That doesn't give me chayas. But when I learn a piece of Gemara with a Tosfos, or for someone else who goes and puts on film with a yid, or goes to visit someone in a nursing home, or whatever, you get electrified. You get electrified from it. That's your whole life. Most of the hours you're involved with other things, that's because we're in this world and we're occupied. We need parnasa, we have family, we have tuition, on and on and on. My wife needs a coat. They need money for it. But that's not my chayis, that's not my geschmack. So the Rishonim, forget about Chassidus Baal Shem Tov, going back. They already positioned, and they saw this, and they said, Chaya Olam Hazeh and Chaya Olam Haba don't go together. They don't. Make up your mind. What did the prophets tell Elisha over there in the Haftarah? We read it. Ad Mosi Ate Poischem Ashtei Asifim. How long will you be on the two sides of the fence? Make up your mind. Im Lashem, Im Labal, Labal. If you're for the idol Baal, go to Baal. And if you're to God, go to God. But don't be back and forth. And that's the way, but we are most of the times up and down, back and forth, because of the Olam Hazeh. So why do I say this? Because all the thoughts until this chapter, basically, the baseline is that we're Gashmi. And within Gashmi, we're going to bring Ruchni. But we're Gashmi. But we're Gashmi. So if that's the case, we cannot have true simcha. Cannot have true simcha. Because the Gashmi schleps a person down. The Gashmi schleps a person down. 1 second.